Am I the a-hole for thinking it's inappropriate for my mom to date someone 2 years older than me? For some context, my 16 female mom, 38 female, had me when she was in her early 20s, so she's relatively young for someone who has a daughter the age that I am. My mom and dad divorced when I was 6, and she hasn't dated many men. The very few men that she has dated have all been extremely older than her, which both her and I thought was kind of weird, but we shrugged it off. As I got older, she began to tease me that she would date someone around my age, which made me extremely uncomfortable because, for one, I don't want to have to compete with my mom in the dating game, and secondly, I think that would be extremely inappropriate if she were dating someone that much younger than her. I expressed this to her and she said I was being insecure. Flash forward to about a week ago. My mom said that she went to a breakfast place and a 22-year-old guy asked her for her Instagram handle. I said to her, "You said no, right?" And she laughed and said she gave it to him, but she wasn't going to date him or anything. I thought that was fine. Then she proceeded to say, "But even if I did, it's not weird." Then we began to bicker about whether or not it was weird to date someone only 6 years older than me, which we both eventually ended up just shrugging off. I haven't really thought about it much since we talked about it. But earlier today, she texted me and said verbatim, "For your information, if I dated someone from your high school who was 18, that wouldn't be weird." I just lost it. Not only would I get relentlessly bullied, but it would make me extremely uncomfortable because my own boyfriend is only a year younger than that. Someone almost the exact same age of my boyfriend dating, having sex with, and being intimate with my mother is just not appropriate in my opinion. I want her to be happy in a relationship, but the idea of my mom having any relationship with someone my age makes me sick. I told her all of these things, and now my mom is mad at me saying that I am forbidding her from having a dating life and giving her a hard time. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Not the a-hole. Even if it is super weird, she is free to do as she pleases. I would ask her if she would be weirded out if you, after 18, were to go out with someone her age. I'm certain she would change her tune quickly. I told her just this at the very beginning of the argument, and she just said, "We are not equals." She completely disregarded the point of what I was saying. You're not the a-hole, OP. I'm 40, and my daughter is 23. The thought of dating someone her age is disgusting to me. Not that I would, because her father and I have been happily together for nearly 25 years. It's just wrong on so many levels. It sounds like your mom is going through a premature midlife crisis. Okay, that right there is a big red flag. It sounds like mom might want to try and steal any boyfriends OP might have. OP is not the a-hole, but mom sure is. Although I don't think it's a complete possibility she would be trying to steal a boyfriend of mine, I do believe she would try to compete with me for one. I don't truly believe she would ever actually be attracted to someone that close to my age, but I think she would flirt with them to get on my nerves. She said just a couple weeks back that I was scared she was going to steal my current boyfriend from me, which was something I had never vocalized to her or anyone else for that matter. I think she was really just trying to piss me off, and it worked. Watch the movie The Graduate, start playing Simone and Garfunkel's song Mrs. Robinson, and start calling her Mrs. Robinson. Not the a-hole. It is totally understandable that OP feels uncomfortable with the idea of their mother dating someone their own age. It is a boundary that should be respected. OP's concerns about potential bullying and the impact on their own relationships are completely valid. OP's mother dismissing their feelings as insecurity is unfair and shows that she lacks insight and social awareness. OP has the right to express their discomfort, and it's important for their mother to understand and respect their boundaries. OP's mom is, of course, free to date. However, I feel that she should reflect on why she chooses her partners and the impact that her choices could have in her life. Am I the a-hole for walking out of a date my mom set up? This happened a few days ago, and I'm still getting aggressive messages from friends and family. I don't know if I'm the a-hole or not, so I would love an outside perspective. I, non-binary 20, am both aromantic and asexual, basically meaning that I only feel platonic love towards another person. I've been out to my whole family since I was around 16, so this isn't anything new. But my mom, 50 female, has set up multiple dates for me to go on, saying that it's just a phase and I need to get over it. She'll stop when I ask her to, but then she'll set up another date, rinse and repeat. Normally I grin and bear it until we leave, but this time I had had enough. My family and I all sat down at a nicest restaurant and chatted for about 30 minutes, when my mom drags me over to another table where someone is already sitting. She introduces us and goes back to the other table. At this point, I have a small idea of what is happening, and I'm pissed. Sam, fake name, started talking and seemed legitimately nice. I asked him if this was a date or not, and when he confirmed it, I apologized and explained that I didn't agree to the date and that I was, in fact, aromantic and asexual. He apologized back before I walked out and went home. A few hours later, my mom calls me and tears me a new one about me walking out of the restaurant and that I was immature for doing so. She then told friends and the other relatives about what happened. Some side with me, others don't. I need to know. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I've messaged my mom and told her that I'm going low contact with her until she can accept the fact I don't want a romantic relationship. I am also searching for Sam. Edit 2. Mom threw a fit, saying I can't do that to her. I'm her baby. She's only trying to look out for me. I've been talking to family members about this after an explanation of events. They agree to my point of view. Apparently, Mom had been saying that I went out swearing and shouting like a toddler, and I just collected my things and left. Edit 3. I found Sam. We're planning to meet up on the weekend for coffee and cake. I shall update you then. Edit 4. Okay, a lot has happened since the last update. I've spoken to most of my relatives about my mom's behavior, and they agree that she was completely out of line. Those that didn't have been cut off from the rest of the family. I've tried talking to Mom again, wanting to be civil, but she avoids the topic completely. Edit 5. I've met up with Sam, talked through what happened from both points of view, as well as getting to know each other. Turns out he's ace too, so that's amazing. He was understanding and sweet. We're gonna game together more and just chill as friends. I can't believe the response that this post got. I legit thought I was losing my mind when writing this, so thank you all for your kind words. Top comments. Not the a-hole. Your mom is way out of line and being incredibly disrespectful to you. She owes both you and Sam an apology. I'm thinking of trying to find Sam to apologize again and to see if he'd be up for being friends instead. He seemed awesome, not gonna lie. Just the fact that he accepted your situation with grace and did not make a scene makes him a winner. I hope you found a new friend. Me too. We've been talking and he seems awesome. Turns out he has the same interests I do in terms of hobbies and stuff. That's awesome. There's always a possibility of QPR, queer platonic relationship. I'm also Aero Ace, by the way, and you're absolutely not the a-hole. Thank you for spelling out the initialism. I would have been very confused as to what Queen's Park Rangers have to do with this. Not the a-hole. Opie's mother's behavior is disrespectful and dismissive of their identity. Opie has clearly communicated their boundaries, and she continues to ignore them. Walking out of the restaurant was a reasonable reaction to being put in an uncomfortable situation, and I'm glad Opie discussed the situation with Sam so they didn't feel rejected. It's important for Opie to prioritize their well-being and set boundaries with their mother. It's great that Opie found support from some family members, and that they've connected with someone who understands them. Opie should stay true to themselves and surround themselves with people who respect and accept them for who they are. Am I the a-hole for giving a cake to my date? I, male 29, is dating someone, male 26, for over a month now, and it was just a few days since his birthday. Since he is in law school, he really couldn't set up a date around his birthday, so I decided to meet up on a future date, and I suggested we spend it in a DIY baking cafe. You bake the cake you want to purchase. I thought it would be a fun date idea, since we could bond and I can even give him a cake for his birthday. So come the day we met, I let him choose a cake. I paid it myself, and we were even given some freebies to play at the crane machine. I have to tell what happened in detail, since it's important later. First off, we both measured and gathered the ingredients. When we both were able to get the stuff, I went to the stand mixer and started with the batter, while he sat down at our workplace. As for me, I also sat because the recipe said to mix for 8 minutes. After batter was ready, we put it in the molds. Here comes icing. I did the icing. But he wanted to do an ombre effect to the cake, so we also made a strawberry flavored icing. So now we have 2. I was kind of nervous at first because the attendants initially said that ingredients that were not part of the recipe will be an additional charge. Thankfully, he was not caught. And what the heck, it is his cake after all. The problem is, it is his first time, and he overwhipped his icing. When we were done, we had some downtime. We need to wait for the cakes to finish cooling. When they were done, and when it was time to assemble, he did his icing first. As expected, the icing was clumpy and was like butter and not sticking to the cake. He tried fixing it, and it seemed to get worse, so I said calmly, "Let me try fixing it." All of a sudden, he disappeared. I noticed him at a table, approached him, and told him, "Let's finish the cake." "Why don't you finish the cake? You're doing all the work." I was confused. "Hey, I'm sorry if you feel that way. You could have told me earlier if you feel that way. So why not you finish the icing and decorating? Don't talk to me." He stood up, left, and messaged me, and this is our convo. "I'm going home." "Why? It's your cake. This is yours. Bring it home then." "But this is yours." "Why? Did I make it?" At this point, I'm like, "Well, this is my gift to you." We did it together." "Well, you have tried baking. I haven't done baking. You did everything. You should have just bought a cake for me. My time is wasted for this, and should have just studied for law school." I was so shocked. I felt unappreciated and was close to tears. It was a gift after all. As I don't want to escalate things further, I just said sorry a bunch of times and begged for him to come back. He came back, but forced me to finish decorating the cake when I waited for him to come back so he can do it. After everything was done, I brought him to the train station with him not talking to me all throughout, and just took the cake without saying goodbye. Here I am, wondering, am I the a-hole in this situation? Update edit. Hi guys. Looking at the comments, here's some info that are missing that I originally did not put up there that are nuanced. I said everything in a calm manner. In my POV, we did everything equally, as he was the one as well to decide the flavor of the cake and design the cake. When I asked that we should go to the mixer, he doesn't follow immediately, which is my bad. I admit that I wasn't proactive in the date, but still does go to add some ingredients. I only started the mixer. That's why for me, I believe that we did things equally at the start. I also did not hover at him for his work. The icing situation, we used more icing than what was allowed, since he wanted to do the ombre. Thanks y'all, effect. So basically, I took over one color, and he made another color. My thoughts about being overwhipped was all in my head, and I never said it out loud. That's why I still felt like we did things equally. The comments also reminded me of a previous date that I got home from Korea. Went to a date literally from the airport, gave him a handwritten letter, gave him some stuff from Korea, but was kind of disappointed because there were no flowers in that lunch date, and only said this to me a day after. He said he wanted flowers. I said, "Sorry, because I just came from the airport. I'm not able to buy flowers." He said, "It's okay." But he mentioned via message a day after what he felt about the flowers, kind of ignoring my gifts and handwritten letter. I also live in an Asian country where tradition is still quite strong. Yes, we are a gay couple, but there is this tradition in my country that the guy steps up to do everything for the person he is trying to impress. In this case, I'm that. He was expecting that I should step up since I am courting him. Our previous dates consisted of just lunch or dinner, or me helping him study for law school. That's why I thought, why not do something different for a change? This date was planned mutually a week prior, and we both agreed to do this, as this was a novel thing in my city. So although I did know more about baking, it was also a new experience for me to bake in a public place with lots of other people, mostly couples too, around. Hope the added info helps. Top comments. Not the a-hole. And if this is how he handles his embarrassment at making a simple mistake, I'm not sure you're going to be able to build a healthy and happy relationship with this guy. Are we going to ignore the fact that OP took me on the date to make this cake, and then following what he said, literally did everything? Did the batter, did the icing, and then decided the icing his BF made was not good enough, so I'll just do it for him? I see a lack of self-awareness from OP. Why couldn't he help the boyfriend do the icing right? I feel like the purpose was to engage in an activity together, but OP would rather have the boyfriend sit and watch him bake a cake for him. That's hardly amusing. Edit. Y'all are forgetting OP gifted baking to someone who doesn't care about baking. I just have a feeling OP is a nice guy. Birthday guy is obviously the a-hole too for how he handled the situation. I understand what you're saying, but in that case, the boyfriend should have communicated much sooner instead of exploding. I think OP was just really excited to do something for his partner. He wanted it to be perfect and might not have realized he was doing it all alone. Throwing a fit because he didn't get to do his own cake is not the attitude of an adult. It's the attitude of a child under 10. At this age, boyfriend should be more capable of communicating when something is upsetting him before it escalates. Edit. Typo. I agree with you. I hate it when someone just fumes silently and then blows up without even giving the other person a chance. Not that it makes any of this acceptable, but we are in exam time for law schools. I never was in the Greek system, but nothing feels like hazing quite like law school exams. Did OP ask her boyfriend at any point if this was something he'd actually like to do? Because if you don't enjoy cooking/baking in the first place, it would be like getting to do your own laundry for your birthday celebration. All the more so when everything he did was criticized. All I know is, if my husband had taken me to bake my own cake for my birthday while I was still in law school, especially at exam time, I would have probably ended in tears. Not the a-hole. OP's date's reaction was on par with a 5-year-old. OP had good intentions and planned a thoughtful birthday date. It's unfortunate that OP's partner reacted with anger and ungratefulness. OP made an effort to include him in the baking process, and when he struggled with the icing, OP offered to help. Although OP's date may have been facing more stress than usual due to his law exams, it seems like he has a pattern of not appreciating OP's gestures, as mentioned in OP's update. It's important to be with someone who values and respects you. Am I the a-hole for telling my friends how my date's mother called him 5 times during our 2-hour date? I, 27 female, went on a date with Jack, 30 male, recently. It was our first and last date. I didn't know him really well, and we only know each other through friends. We were set up by one of them, and we talked a bit before deciding to go out. He seemed normal. We went to a cafe. Now, we had only gotten there. I just sat down, when he got a call from his mom. No big deal. He took the call in front of me, so I had no other option to hear what he was talking about. He told his mom that we had arrived and it's all fine. I thought, that's fine. Maybe he was anxious or something, or his mom was wishing him luck. We got talking, and within a half hour his mom called again. He picked it up and gave her an update of everything we had talked about in the last 30 minutes. It weirded me out, but then she proceeded to call him 3 more times within 2 hours. And he would recap everything we had talked about right in front of me, and then go back to the conversation as if nothing had happened. I even commented about his mom's constant calling, and he said he's a mom's boy. It weirded me out, so I cut our date short and turned down his idea for dinner. When I reached home, I messaged him that I had a good time, but I couldn't see a future with him as our personalities were poles apart. He responded in, "Okay, best of luck." Obviously, the friend who had set us up asked about the date, and I told her about his mom calling him every half an hour. I also told my friends about the date. Now apparently, he asked out another girl and she turned him down. He found out that people knew about his situation. He sent me a text calling me some nice words and saying that it was private information and I shouldn't have told people about it. He also called me a racist, which doesn't make sense to me. We are both of Indian descent. I mean, it wasn't the constant calling that stuck out to me. It was the fact that he was literally recapping everything to her. This whole severe codependency situation didn't sit right with me at all. I do think I might be an a-hole because I told his private business to the world, but also maybe not. Edit. OMG. Guys, this blew up. Thanks for all the responses. Jack's been blocked from my phone as he sent me a few more of his nice messages. Top comments. Not the a-hole. He's publicly taking calls. How is that private information? But it's his mommy. Yeah, nah. He's that kind of guy that belongs on r/just no significant others, and people discuss when talking their horror dates. I completely agree. If the call was private, he would have answered privately. So glad it wasn't private and Opie could just leave. And he appeared to think being a mama's boy is normal. Strange he doesn't like people knowing now. Yeah, better that she knows now. Just think of the play-by-play to mommy during intimate moments. Not the a-hole. Opie had a valid reason for feeling uncomfortable with Jack's behavior during the date. His constant phone calls with his mother, and the fact that he would recap Opie's conversations in front of them, raised legitimate concerns about his boundaries and codependency. It's understandable that Opie shared their experience with their friends, as it was an unusual situation that affected their perception of the date. Jack's response of name-calling and blaming Opie for why he can't seem to get a date was inappropriate and uncalled for. Blocking him was a reasonable decision for Opie's own well-being. Am I the a-hole for downloading Tinder? Throwaway, because my wife has read it too. My 34 male wife, 24 female, have been together for 8 years. She has some self-esteem issues regarding her weight, her attractiveness, etc. She doesn't believe that I'm actually attracted to her, even though whenever she asks how she looks, I tell her she's beautiful. This background is important for later. About a year ago, I slipped up and started chatting and exchanging pictures with some women online, and my wife found out. I felt horrible, and she was completely broken up about it for a while, but she didn't leave me. Unfortunately, about a week and a half ago, she found out I was doing it again. I apologized and told her it didn't mean anything, and that I was just bad judgment, and it would never happen again. Once again, she forgave me, but told me that it was my last chance to make it right. This is where I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole. Today we were cuddling, watching videos together on my phone, when an ad for Tinder popped up. I remembered I had one from a few years ago, so I swiped up and installed it. She looked at me like I had 3 heads and asked what I was doing. I said I wanted to see if there was anyone that I grew up with and maybe reconnect with old friends. She got mad and stormed off. Now she's in the office and I hear cabinets slamming. I'm a grown man with a job and a car and I pay my bills. If I want to get Tinder for something completely platonic, I should be able to. Her low self-esteem shouldn't make my decisions for me. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edit. Okay. I wasn't expecting the major "you're the a-hole" almost immediately here. I deleted Tinder and plan on making amends with my wife, however she needs me to. Thank you all. Top comments. Anyone want to bring up the fact that he was 26 and she was 16 when they started dating? Aw man, I missed that the first time. Dude, shaking my head. Yeah, I'm not going there. You're the a-hole, at least 3 times in this single post. Tinder isn't for catching up with platonic friends, you jerk. What he is looking for is called Facebook, or classmates.com. I'm surprised he didn't just pull up Backpage and order himself an escort, platonically of course. My 34 male wife, 24 female, have been together for 8 years. Gross. You're the a-hole. Actually, you're a massive freaking a-hole. Tinder is for hooking up and finding romantic love. Your excuses are BS. You're BS, and I feel terrible for your wife. I know I'm supposed to be civil here, but if you can't see how you're consistently showing your wife that you're looking around for the next best thing, then you're gonna have a bad time for quite a while. You're 10 years older than her, and it's pretty clear you're dating young, so you don't have to deal with someone who can see through your BS. You're totally an a-hole. You're the a-hole. No one believes that you want platonic relationships from Tinder. The first slip up wouldn't have been okay with me, but then you did it again, and now you download Tinder without a blink? By the way, actions speak louder than words. Your wife has self-esteem issues and you tell her she's lovely, but then exchange photos with people. And the second time it happened, it was unfortunate because she found out. not because you were remorseful. You were such an a-hole. OP, you're the a-hole. Installing Tinder after betraying their wife's trust, not once but twice, was a thoughtless and disrespectful move. It shows a lack of consideration for her feelings and undermines the effort she made to forgive you. OP's claims of using Tinder for platonic reasons is questionable at best, given their previous behavior. It's important to prioritize rebuilding trust in the relationship, although it's clear that OP does not value their partner, which is likely at the center of her feelings of worthlessness and low self-esteem. And the fact that OP began dating their partner when she was still a minor is more than a red flag. It's criminal. Thanks for watching. Let me know down below if you agree with the verdict. Also, consider checking out my other channel, Star_Vingart, where I post my artwork, and my Etsy, StarVingartCompany, where I sell my art prints and stickers. Bye!